Belinda was 20 years old, a twin, but not treated like one. She lived in a small house with her mother and twin sister, Brenda. Their father had died many years ago, and since then everything changed. Her mother, Margaret, was no longer the woman she used to be. She became bitter, angry, and full of complaints. But even in her bitterness, she had love only for Brenda. Brenda had learned how to survive by using her beauty. She went out with different men and always returned home with money, perfumes, and food. Her mother praised her, saying, "You're a smart girl. You know how to make life easier." But Belinda refused to live that kind of life. She wanted to go to school and become a nurse. She wanted to help the sick, not sell her body. Because of this, her mother hated her. "Every day you sit here like a log of wood," Margaret shouted at her almost every day. "You want to go to school, but who will pay for you? Your mates are making money while you're busy dreaming." The truth was that Belinda and Brenda were both not in school. They had finished secondary school 2 years ago and were still struggling to gather money for college. But Brenda had given up and decided to follow men. Belinda held on to her dream. One hot afternoon, Margaret walked into the small house, her voice as sharp as a knife. "Belinda, take that basket and go to the farm. Bring back yams. Do you want us to die of hunger?" Belinda had just returned from fetching water. Her legs were sore and her back ached, but she knew better than to complain. "Yes, Ma," she said quietly, and picked up the old basket. She walked slowly along the narrow bush path, wiping sweat from her forehead. The sun was hot and the ground was dry. Her heart was heavy. Her whole body was tired. Then, suddenly, she heard something. It was a soft groan, like someone was in pain. She paused. Her eyes scanned the bush beside the path. The sound came again. Curious and afraid, she stepped closer and gently pushed some branches aside. Her heart stopped for a second. A man was lying there, unconscious, dirty, and bleeding. His clothes were torn and his face was bruised. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. "Jesus," Belinda whispered, dropping her basket. She knelt beside him. "Sir, can you hear me?" No response. She touched his chest. He was still breathing, but very weak. He couldn't speak. His eyes were half open, but empty. Whoever he was dying. Belinda looked around. The bush was quiet. No one was in sight. She had no phone, no help. "I can't leave you here," she said to herself. With all the strength in her small body, she pulled his arm over her shoulder and started dragging him. It was not easy. She fell twice. Her knees were scratched, but she didn't stop. When she reached home, she checked carefully. Her mother and Brenda were not yet back. She used the back door and pulled the man into her small room. She locked the door and laid him on her tiny foam mattress. Then she fetched water and gently cleaned his wounds. She tore a piece from her wrapper and wrapped the bleeding part of his arm. She poured a little water into his mouth. He coughed, but swallowed. "Who are you?" she whispered, sitting beside him. "Where did you come from?" The man didn't answer. He just lay there, eyes shut, breathing softly. She stared at him. He looked like someone important. His skin was soft. His hands were clean despite the wounds. As she covered him with her wrapper, she heard footsteps outside. Her heart skipped. Her mother and sister were back. Belinda quickly hid the water bowl and sat at the edge of the bed, pretending to sew her old skirt. The man remained quiet. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Please don't make a sound. Please don't die." Belinda sat quietly on the edge of her bed. The wounded man was lying beside her, still unconscious, covered with her wrapper. Her heartbeat was fast as she listened to the sound of her mother's slippers dragging across the dusty floor. "Belinda, you this witch, come out here now!" her mother shouted from the kitchen. Belinda quickly stood up and stepped outside, trying not to show fear. Margaret stood with her arms folded, eyes full of anger. "Where is my yam? Did you go to the farm? Or not?" Belinda swallowed hard. "Mommy, I was on my way, but some bad boys came out from the bush. They tried to kidnap me. I ran back home." Margaret hissed loudly. "Story? You think I'm stupid? That mouth of yours will lead you into trouble one day." "I'm telling the truth," Belinda said softly. "Shut up," Margaret screamed. "Truth or lie, I didn't see Yam and I didn't see you working. You will not eat in this house tonight. Go and lick your lips." Belinda looked down. Her stomach was already empty, and now it would remain that way. "You think you are wise," her mother continued. "You're just like your useless father. Lazy people. Like father. Like daughter." Belinda felt a sharp pain in her chest. She missed her father. He used to protect her from all this, but now even his name brought more insults. Margaret pointed a long finger at her. "First thing tomorrow morning, you must go to that farm. I want yam. And don't come back empty-handed, do you hear me?" "Yes, Ma," Belinda replied quietly. Margaret hissed again and went into the kitchen, shouting for Brenda. Belinda slowly walked back to her room, tears filling her eyes. When she entered, the man was still lying there. His eyes were now half open. He looked at her weakly, but didn't speak. "I told them you were not here," she whispered. "But tomorrow I have to go out again. Please, you must try and stay quiet. If they find you, I don't know what will happen." The man blinked once. Belinda brought a small piece of leftover bread she had hidden under her clothes earlier. She dipped it in water to make it soft, then placed it gently in his mouth. He chewed slowly. His lips trembled. "You're safe now," she whispered. "I'll do my best for you, but you must not make any noise." That night, while Brenda and their mother ate rice and laughed loudly in the sitting room, Belinda stayed in her small room with a stranger, feeding him tiny pieces of bread and cleaning his wounds with water. Early the next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Belinda quietly slipped out of bed. The man was still sleeping, his breathing now stronger. She touched his forehead gently. No more fever. That made her smile a little. She whispered, "I'll be back soon. Please don't make a sound and don't try to leave." She carefully opened her door, checked that no one was nearby, and stepped outside. Brenda and their mother were still asleep. It was the only peaceful time in the house. Belinda carried the same old basket and began walking to the farm. Her body was weak, but her heart was stronger. She had to return with yams today, or she would face another round of insults, or even worse. Meanwhile, back in her room, the man opened, his eyes slowly. He looked around the small room with cracked walls, one wooden chair, and a worn-out mattress. He tried to sit up, but winced in pain. His ribs still ached. He remembered nothing, only the image of trees crashing and the sound of fire. Everything else was a blur. Back at the farm, Belinda bent down to dig up some yams. Her hands were shaking and her back hurt, but she kept working. She remembered her mother's words. "You're just like your useless father." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she wiped them quickly. "No, I'm not useless," she told herself. I'm just not like Brenda, and that's not a crime. After harvesting 5 yams, she rested a little, then tied them in her basket and began the walk home. As she neared the house, she saw Brenda standing at the gate looking at her nails. "See who's finally back," Brenda said with a smirk. "Did the bush rats greet you today, too?" Belinda didn't reply. She just walked past her and entered the kitchen to drop the yams. "Mama!" Brenda shouted, laughing. "Belinda brought the yams!" Their mother came out, tying her wrapper tightly. She looked at the yams and grunted. At least today you didn't come back empty like your brain." Belinda said nothing. "Go and sweep the compound after this. Then wash the dishes and clean the toilet," her mother added. Lazy child. "Yes, ma'am," Belinda said softly and walked into a room. She shut the door behind her and quickly turned to the man. He was awake, sitting up and staring at her with weak eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked in surprise. He nodded slowly. "Water, please." Her face lit up. She rushed to bring him water and helped him drink it. "You're getting better," she whispered. He nodded again. "Your name is Belinda?" She nodded, surprised that he remembered. "My name is Michael," he said weakly. "Thank you for saving me?" She smiled gently. "I couldn't leave you there. I didn't know who you were, but you looked like you were going to die." He tried to sit up more, but she placed a pillow behind his back. "You should rest. My mother and sister don't know you're here. If they find out," she paused, "they will chase you out. Or worse." He looked around the small room. "You live here with them?" "Yes," she said, looking down. "It's not easy." Michael was silent for a while. He saw the bruises on her hands, the tiredness on her face, the kindness in her voice. "You're different," he said softly. "Most people would walk away." Belinda sat down beside the IT bed. "I'm not like most people. I know what pain feels like. That's why I can't ignore someone else's pain." Michael looked at her and smiled. "I don't know who you are," she said gently, "but until you are strong again, this room is your home." 2 days passed. Belinda was doing everything she could to hide Michael and care for him. His strength was coming back little by little. She made sure to keep her room locked whenever she stepped out. That morning she told him, "I'm going to the market to buy food stuff. I'll be back soon. Please don't make any sound. I'll lock the door properly." Michael nodded. "Be careful." She smiled, locked her door, and left. While she was away, her mother, Margaret, sat outside peeling yam when she suddenly turned to Brenda and said, "That Belinda, she's always indoors these days. What is she hiding? Go and check that room." Brenda stood up and walked to Belinda's door. She turned the handle, locked. She knocked once. No answer. She looked around, then went back to her mother. "Mommy, the door is locked. I tried, but it didn't open." Margaret wiped her hands on her wrapper and hissed. "We should break it open. I don't trust that girl. She may be hiding something." Brenda nodded. "Let's do it now." But Margaret quickly shook her head. No, we can't. That's against the village rule. You don't break into someone's room unless there's fire. Or they are dying. If the village elders hear it, they'll fine us heavily or even send us away. We can't afford trouble." Brenda folded her arms and sighed. "So, we just leave her like that for now," Margaret said, narrowing her eyes. "But I'm watching her." An hour later, Belinda came back from the market carrying a small bag. She went straight to her room. As soon as she locked the door behind her, she dropped the bag and rushed to Michael. "Are you okay?" she asked. He nodded slowly. I'm fine. But something happened. She paused. What? While you were away, someone tried to open the door. I heard the handle moving. They knocked, too. Belinda's heart jumped. Did you hear the person's voice or see them? Michael shook his head. No. I only heard movement, but I didn't speak. I stayed quiet. She breathed deeply in relief. That must have been Brenda. Brenda, he asked. My twin sister? She said, we look exactly alike. Same height, same face, same voice. If she stood here, you wouldn't know who is who. Even our mother sometimes mixes us up. Michael raised, his brows surprised. You're twins? She nodded. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? She gave a small smile. It wasn't important. Michael looked into her eyes and said softly, You're full of surprises. Belinda sat beside him and handed him a cup of water. He took it, drank, then cleared his throat. Belinda, he began, now that I'm getting better and your family is beginning to suspect something, I think I should go early tomorrow morning. Her face changed. No, you can't go yet. What if you collapse again? He reached out and held her hand. You've done more than enough. You saved my life. But I can't keep hiding here. It's risky for both of us. She lowered her eyes. So, you'll leave? Yes, he said gently. But I promise you something. What? She whispered. I will come back for you. I like you so much, Belinda. You're not like other women I've met. You're kind. You're strong. You have a good heart. I'll come back with my family to reward you. And maybe more. Her eyes widened a little. She didn't know what to say. Michael smiled. Please don't cry. This is not goodbye, it's just the beginning. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and nodded. Okay, she whispered. I'll wait. The night felt longer than usual, but Belinda didn't sleep much. She kept waking up to check on Michael. He was resting peacefully, but her heart was not. She knew he would leave in the morning. Part of her wanted to stop him, but the other part knew he was right. Very early, before the first crow, Michael sat up. Belinda, who had been lying near the door, heard him and sat up quickly. It's time, he said softly. She nodded slowly, blinking back tears. I packed some dry bread and gari in this nylon, she said, handing him a small bag. It's not much, but it can help you till you find help. Michael looked at her with grateful eyes. You've done more than enough. I'll never forget you, Belinda. She helped him stand up. He was stronger now, though he still limped. She opened the back door slowly, making sure no one saw them. Follow this small path straight. It will lead you to the main road, she whispered. Be careful, and please don't forget me. Michael looked into her eyes, held her hand tightly, and said, I could never forget you. You're different, Belinda. I promise I'll return. And when I do, your life will never be the same again. She watched him walk slowly into the darkness until he disappeared behind the trees. Her chest ached, but she closed the door quietly and returned to her bed. She lay there, eyes wide open, wondering if she would ever see him again. By morning, everything in the house was as usual. Go and wash the bathroom, Margaret shouted from the backyard. Lazy girl, you think your dreams will cook food? Brenda added, laughing. Belinda didn't say a word. She obeyed every instruction, but her mind was not there. It was on the man who left before sunrise and the promise he made. Days passed, then weeks, but no word came from Michael. She whispered, Where are you, Michael? You said you'd come back." Unknown to Belinda, Michael was battling for his life. The very morning he left her house, he didn't go far before he collapsed in the bush. His body was weak. His chest was tight. His head was hot. He tried to call for help, but his voice was gone. There was no one around. He closed his eyes thinking that was the end. But a farmer walking home from his farm saw him lying on the ground. The farmer quickly called for help. A bike man came, and together they rushed Michael to a nearby hospital in the city. At the hospital, the nurses ran to carry him inside. They put him on oxygen and took him into the emergency room. When the doctor finished examining him, he shook his head and said, "This man is lucky to still be alive." "Why?" the nurse asked. "He has internal bleeding," the doctor replied. "If he had not come when he did, he would have been gone by now." They rushed to work on him. He was given strong medicine, drips, and injections. For 2 days, he could not move. His eyes were closed most of the time. The pain was too much. But in his heart, he was still thinking about Belinda, the simple village girl who saved him. He remembered her soft voice, her gentle hands, and her quiet smile. He wanted to live, not just for himself, but to see her again. Every day, the doctor came to check on him. "You're getting stronger," the doctor said. "Just rest and eat well." Michael nodded slowly. On the 4th day, while he was lying quietly on the bed, the door to his hospital room opened slowly. A tall, older man entered with worried eyes. It was Michael's father. "Michael?" he called softly. Michael opened his eyes. "Dad?" His father rushed to his side and held his hand. "My son, we've been looking for you for days." No phone call, nothing. "We were all so worried." Michael's voice was weak. "It's a long story." "Don't worry about that now," his father said, gently patting his chest. "Just focus on getting better." After a few moments of silence, Michael spoke again. "Dad, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" his father asked, leaning closer. "There's a girl. Her name is Belinda." "Belinda?" His father raised his eyebrows. "She saved me, found me in the bush, took me to her small room, fed me, cleaned my wounds, gave me water. She risked everything just to help a stranger." His father's eyes widened. "She did all that?" Michael nodded slowly. "Yes, Dad. I want to go back and find her." His father held his hand tighter. "You have to get better first, my son. The doctor said you need 2 weeks for your body to heal well. You almost died, Michael. Please rest first. After that, we'll go and look for her, I promise." Michael sighed. "Okay, Dad." Then he looked around and asked softly, "Where's Mom?" His father smiled. "She's fine. I didn't want her to come here." "Why?" "You know how emotional your mother is," his father said, chuckling. "She'll come here and start crying in front of everyone. We don't want that kind of drama here." Michael smiled a little. "That woman is so dramatic." They both laughed quietly. Michael felt warm inside, but he also knew something clearly now. As soon as he got better, he would go back for the girl who gave him a second chance at life. While Michael was lying in a clean hospital bed, surrounded by nurses and love, Belinda was back home, still living like a stranger in her own house. Nothing had changed. Her mother was still shouting. Her sister Brenda was still bragging and laughing loudly about the money she made from men in the nearby town. And Belinda? She was still doing all the work. One morning, Margaret called out from the kitchen. "Belinda, you this useless girl, come here." Belinda rushed in. "Yes, Ma." "Where is the salt I asked you to buy yesterday?" Did you eat it on the way, or you gave it to one of those hungry boys like you?" Belinda swallowed hard. "I gave you the change and the salt. It's in the black nylon in the corner," Margaret hissed. "You lied too much? Lazy like your father." Brenda walked in chewing gum and laughing. Maybe her new friend ate the salt with her. We still don't know who she's been hiding in her room. Belinda's heart jumped. She quickly turned her face. Margaret narrowed her eyes. "I've been thinking about that too. This girl has been acting strange since that day she went to the farm and came back with no yam. And that time her door was locked. I told you," Margaret said to Brenda. "She's hiding something. Maybe she's now seeing men too, but pretending to be holy." Belinda turned sharply. "That's not true. I'm not like you, Brenda." Her mother's hand landed hard on her cheek. "You dare talk to your sister like that?" Margaret shouted. "I knew it. You're hiding something. Start talking now. Who was in your room that day?" Belinda held her cheek and stared at the ground. She couldn't tell them the truth. "I was just resting that day," she said softly. "I locked the door because I didn't want to be disturbed." Margaret hissed again. "You think you're wise? No problem. From today, no more locking of doors in this house, you hear me?" "Yes, Ma." Brenda laughed and walked away. Belinda quickly wiped the tears from her eyes. She turned back to continue sweeping the floor. That night, as she lay on her mat, she looked up at the cracked ceiling. "God," she whispered, "please remember me. Please let Michael be safe. Please let him come back." 2 weeks passed. Belinda was back to her normal life, waking up early, doing all the housework, and pretending like everything was fine. Every time she fetched water or walked past the bush path, she remembered him. How she found him lying weak. How she hid him in her room. How he promised to come back. Still no sign of him. It had been 3 weeks now. That afternoon, Belinda went to visit her best friend, Sophia. Sophia lived 2 compounds away. They had been friends since childhood, but Belinda had not gone to see her in a while. "Ah, so you remember me today?" Sophia said. Belinda smiled. "I'm sorry. Things have just been different." Sophia looked at her closely. "Tell me the truth. What's going on? Why haven't you been coming over?" Belinda looked around, then leaned closer. "Sophia, if I tell you something, promise you won't shout." Sophia raised her eyebrow. "Now you're scaring me. Talk, please." Belinda took a deep breath. "I found a man." Sophia's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" I saw a man in the bush," Belinda continued. "He was dying. I brought him home, hid him in my room for days, and took care of him." Sophia's mouth fell open. "Jesus! And you didn't tell me, your best friend?" "I couldn't," Belinda said softly. "Everything happened so fast, and I was scared my mother and Brenda would find out." Sophia folded her arms. "So this is why you stopped coming to my house. You were busy hiding men in your room. Belinda, I thought you were different." Belinda laughed and rolled her eyes. "Shut up, you stupid girl. Who told you it's men I hid? I said man, not men." Sophia burst into laughter. "I was just joking." She moved closer. "So is he fine? Is he handsome?" Belinda smiled shyly. "Yes, he's very handsome and kind. I really like him." "Wait, like or love?" Sophia asked, teasing. Belinda dropped her head. "I love him, I really do." Sophia blinked. "Wow." "He told me he will come back for me," Belinda added. "But it's been 3 weeks now. I haven't heard from him. I don't know what's happening. Maybe something happened to him. Or maybe he has forgotten me." Sophia touched her arm gently. I don't think he has forgotten you. Some men are just slow. Then she smiled again and said, jokingly, Madam, snap out of this love thing. Let's focus on how we'll get money to enter our nursing school. Belinda laughed. You're right. But as they both laughed and talked, deep down in Belinda's heart, a small prayer was rising. Please, God, let him come back. 5 days later, the sun was already hot when Belinda's mother, Margaret, shouted her name. Belinda, take the cutlass and go to the farm. Today you must clear the land. Don't come back till evening. Belinda stepped out slowly, tired and weak. But, Mama, I can't finish all that work alone, she said, her voice low. I don't care, Margaret replied sharply. Finish everything. We must start planning by next week. Then let Brenda join me, Belinda added. I can't be the only one doing all the farm work. Margaret's face changed. So, you're comparing yourself to Brenda? It's Brenda that brings money into this house. She provides for us. You? What do? Belinda was angry now. What kind of mother are you? I haven't even eaten since yesterday, and you want me to go to the farm with an empty stomach? Margaret hissed. I don't care. Go now, you lazy girl. Belinda wiped her tears and picked up the cutlass and began the long walk to the farm, her stomach empty and her heart full of pain. 30 minutes later, a sleek black car drove quietly into the compound. Inside the house, Margaret and Brenda were chatting when they heard the sound. Brenda peeked through the curtain. Mama? A car just parked in front. Margaret stood quickly, a little afraid. Let me go and check. She walked out and met two well-dressed men standing beside the car. One was young and handsome, the other was older and calm. Good afternoon, May, the younger man said with a warm smile. My name is Michael, and this is my father. Good afternoon, sir, Margaret replied, a bit confused. The young man spoke again. We came to see your daughter, Belinda. Margaret's eyes widened, but she kept her cool. So this foolish girl hid a man in my house, and I didn't even know, she thought angrily. But outside she laughed sweetly. Ah, you are welcome, my handsome in-laws, she said with a wide smile. Please come inside. She took them into the living room and offered them chairs to sit. Let me go and call Belinda for you, she said politely. But she didn't go to the farm. Instead, she rushed to Brenda's room. Brenda, she whispered sharply, that man Belinda was hiding is now here, and he's rich. We can't miss this opportunity. Brenda's eyes widened. So what should we do? Margaret looked serious. Since Belinda is not around and you both look exactly the same, he won't know the difference. You must pretend to be her. Brenda hesitated. What if he finds out? He won't, Margaret said quickly. At least not today. Act sweet and gentle. Say yes to everything. Brenda nodded slowly. I told you she was hiding someone in her room, Mama. You didn't believe me. That's not the issue now, Margaret snapped. Go and dress like her quick. Brenda changed into a simple gown and walked into the sitting room, pretending to be Belinda. Michael stood up. Belinda? She smiled and nodded. Yes, it's me. Michael and his father greeted her warmly. You're really beautiful, Michael's father said politely too. Michael smiled. My father and I are here because I want to marry you. If you agree, we would like to pay the bride price today. Before he could finish, Brenda said, Yes, I agree. Michael was surprised. This is strange, he thought. Belinda was shy. She would never say yes so fast, but he didn't want to embarrass her, so he brushed it off. "What about your twin sister?" Michael said, looking at Brenda. "Oh, she's now in school," Brenda lied. "But you'll meet her soon, my love," Michael smiled. "All right." Margaret quickly called the village elders. They came with joy. Soon drinks were shared. The bride price was paid. Everyone was laughing and celebrating. But far away in the hot sun, the real Belinda was still clearing the farm with sweat pouring down her face. She didn't know her life was being stolen at home. Not too far away, Sophia heard the news from a neighbor in the village. "Did you hear? A man named Michael is in Margaret's house. He came to marry Brenda," the neighbor said. Sophia stopped walking. "Wait, Michael? Which Michael?" "The rich one. They said he came with his father." Sophia's heart beat faster. "Michael, the same one Belinda told me about. The one she hid in her room." She rushed straight to Margaret's house. When she reached the gate, the noise and celebration had already started. She pulled Margaret aside and asked, "Mama, where is Belinda?" Margaret smiled quickly. "I don't know." "What do you mean, you don't know?" Sophia asked, frowning. "Has she gone to the market or the farm?" Margaret looked away. "I don't know where she went." She didn't want Sophia to run to the farm and call Belinda. Sophia looked at her suspiciously. "Are you hiding something?" "Why would I hide anything?" Margaret said, pretending to laugh. Sophia walked away, angry and confused. "Something is not right. Michael is here, but they say he came to marry Brenda. Are these people playing tricks?" She turned and said to herself, "I must find Belinda before it's too late." As she walked faster, her feet suddenly stopped. Then she gasped and whispered, "The farm." She turned sharply and ran as fast as she could through the narrow path that led to the farmland. Her slippers hit the dusty ground hard, her skirt flying in the wind, sweat rolling down her forehead. But she didn't stop. She knew that was the only place Belinda would likely be. As she got closer, she saw a slim figure bending over with a hoe in hand, tired and covered in sweat. It was Belinda. "Belinda!" Sophia shouted, panting heavily. "Belinda!" Belinda dropped the hoe and turned around. "Sophia, what happened? Why are you running?" Sophia grabbed her arm, breathing hard. "It's Michael. He's here. He came to your house." Belinda's eyes widened. "Michael? He came back?" Sophia nodded. "Yes, with his father. But your mother didn't call you. She told them you were home, then went to call Brenda. I think Brenda pretended to be you." Belinda staggered back a little. "What?" "I'm telling you the truth," Sophia cried. "They paid the bride price. There was a small ceremony. Everyone in the village is talking about it. I came straight here." Belinda's chest tightened. No, it can't be true." "Let's go," Sophia said, pulling her. "Maybe we can still catch them." They both ran back toward the village. Belinda's heart was racing. Her legs felt weak, but she kept running. Her eyes were already wet with tears. By the time they reached the house, it was quiet. The guests were gone. The music had stopped. Belinda looked around, her eyes moving fast. "Where are they?" She asked no one. She pushed open the door and stepped inside. There, sitting alone on a wooden chair, was her mother, Margaret, looking tired and wiping sweat from her neck. Belinda stood in front of her, tears pouring from her eyes. "Mama, why?" Margaret looked up slowly. "You're back." "Yes," Belinda said, her voice shaking. "And I know what happened." You made Brenda pretend to be me. Why are you so wicked to me? Why do you hate me so much?" Margaret didn't answer. Belinda dropped to her knees. "What have I done to you? Why have you hated me since Papa died? Am I not your daughter too?" "You refused to be useful," Margaret said coldly. "You chose to suffer. Brenda brought money. You brought dreams. Dreams can't feed this family." "So this is your payback," Belinda shouted. "To steal my chance at happiness. You let my own sister pretend to be me just because of money." "You're always acting holy," Margaret said, standing up. "Now you know life is not about being holy. It's about surviving." Belinda covered her face and wept. "He came back. He kept his promise, and you let him go with the wrong girl." Sophia was standing at the door, watching with red eyes. "You're heartless," she said to Margaret. "You don't deserve a daughter like Belinda." Margaret hissed and turned away. Belinda stood up weakly and walked into her room. She sat on her bed and cried into her wrapper. Her heart was broken, not just because Michael was gone, but because it was her own mother and own sister who betrayed her. Sophia walked in and sat beside her, holding her hand. "I'm sorry, Belinda. I came as fast as I could." Belinda nodded, still crying. "Thank you. You're the only one who truly cares about me." "Do you want us to go to the city and look for him?" Sophia asked. Belinda shook her head. "He may think Brenda is me. He may already believe the lie." Belinda wiped her tears and stared at the roof. "I don't know what to do now, but one thing I know. God sees everything. One day, the truth will come out." Brenda was now in the city, living in Michael's mansion. She had everything: beautiful clothes, shoes, perfumes, and a big room with a soft bed. The house was full of maids and security men. But even with all these things, Brenda was not happy. Why? Because Michael was not feeling her. From the day they arrived in the city, he had been cold. He spoke to her with respect, but no love. He never smiled at her the way she expected. He didn't hold her hand, didn't call her sweet names, and never touched her. One night she came into his room wearing a short dress. She sat beside him on the bed and touched his hand. "Baby," she said, trying to smile. "You've been quiet since we got here. I'm your wife now. Let's enjoy ourselves." Michael gently removed her hand. "Please, I'm not in the mood." Brenda was shocked. "What do you mean? Am I not your wife?" Michael stood up and walked to the window. He stared outside for a while, then said, "You're not the woman I fell in love with." Brenda's heart skipped. "What are you saying?" He turned around slowly. "The Belinda I met was quiet, shy, humble. She didn't talk too much or try to show off. She didn't rush things. But you're different. Your attitude, your eyes, even your smile feels strange." Brenda tried to laugh. "Maybe it's because we're now married. Everything feels different after marriage." Michael didn't answer.